I'm sitting where I'd like to be buried, in a Catholic cemetery. This is a double plot bought by my mother from one of her inheritances. She first bought a plot in Abbeyside in Dungarvan, where my father is from. But he persuaded her to give it over to his mum and his dad and cousin Mihal, and I don't remember who the other one was. The funny thing is, a double plot can house 4 to 6 bodies. That's weird. But literally, depending on how deep they dig. I just talked to a lady who came to visit her parents' grave, which is a weird Catholic thing because the dead are dead and gone, but anyway, I come here sometimes. And she said her parents bought their plot for 20 quid in the 60s or 50s, I can't remember. I think my mother paid 800. I can't remember if it was for the plot in Dungarvan or here. And I remember there was a scandal in Mount Nugent where the priest, Riley, I can't remember his first name. He had a sister, a nun, Grania. He had a brother who had a sweet shop, Kieron. I can't remember his name, but he got in trouble for selling a plot twice. And to be honest, they can sell for thousands and thousands now. But I'm just sitting on the little bit of grass I want to be buried in beside my mother and my sister. And even though that's a nice dream, I'll share some photographs. I'll show you the view. It's stunning. There is something lovely about graveyards, cemeteries. And ultimately, you don't care if you end up, ashes. So I just want to share two things, two funny stories, because I'm trying to focus on my book, although I can't write at the moment. I've got a block, but I can talk. So 2 funny stories, if I can get them in one. One is how my mother got me out of a huge shopping spree, and the other is how I got my father out of joining the Freemasons in Bradford-on-Avon in Wiltshire. Oh, what's that I can see on the horizon? See, I've got bad eyesight. Anyway, so, as many of you know, it's a person, it's all right, it's a person getting ready for the blessing of the graves, sweeping up and making the cemetery lovely, and that's very precious. Right, so quickly, the story of my mother. My mother is an MK Ultra survivor. She was evacuated in the war. Her father and brothers were in the secret services. She was tagged. Like we had a tag around your neck, like getting evacuated. You just got a teddy bear in your hands and a little brown leather suitcase, and off you go to territory unknown, But let me stay focused. So my mother, in trying to deal with her woundedness, she went through addictions, which was what Max Spears wanted to talk to me about. And first she was addicted to Valium, which is current day Prozac and is brutal. And then she was addicted to Librium. And then she cold turkeyed on them, and she got addicted to alcohol for 15 years. And stay focused. Oh, right. So that 15 years that my mother was addicted to alcohol was a lot of my formative years as a child. And I didn't realise what it meant for somebody to be what my mother called in their cups, which means they've had too many drinks and they don't know what they're saying. Or they're probably speaking truth, but if you ask them the next day, they have no memory of it. So I'd moved to London aged 18, because my mother split me up from Nick Topless, a Freemasonic military partner, Anyway, she thought he was too provincial. He went on to be a multi-millionaire, probably still is, and a Formula One, vintage Formula One star. But anyway, Mummy decided he wasn't suitable and she sent me off to London. And while I was in London, I met a billionaire. I was working in a Jewish tailor's shop near Piccadilly Circus, and I was getting ripped off. But a billionaire, Arab, Kuwaiti billionaire, Mohammed Al something or other, I can't remember his name right now. But he came into the shop, and I was very beautiful in my early 20s or late teens. And so he insisted he would only shop from me. And he would spend thousands, literally. I'd be showing him cashmere coats and, designer suits and silk ties, and he would just buy it for the laugh, literally for the crack. And the bosses went so mad, they were like, no, we can't give you 8% or 3% of sales, and they kept trying to Jewish tailors in the West End, they kept trying to put their top salesman on him, and he was like, no, I want to deal with Angela. Anyway, he put my commission through the roof, and then when it came to payday, predictably, the bosses said, we can't pay that much. So I just went over the road to Brook Street Bureau and got myself another job, jumped from the frying pan into the fire. I went from a Jewish tailor's that was having me, cut out labels and replace them with Gucci or whatever, or Saint Laurent or whatever. But then I went to BCCI, Bank of Credit and Commerce International, which was a CIA-run fucking money laundering bank. But that's not the point. The point is, my mum was in her drinking phase. The client that came into the tailor's shop, right round the corner from where the rent boys... I hate using that term even. But anyway, right on Piccadilly Circus, round the corner from when, the Wimpy and all that. Anyway, this billionaire from Kuwait, he took a liking to me. And so I started dating him. And dating, I was literally the absolute definition of an escort who never had sex, right? I was abused from very early. So I was kind of a prude. So he would take me out maybe twice a week. I was working in BCCI by then. And, he would ask me out twice a week, meet him at the Dorchester. I would say to him, I'm not up for sex, I'm not a call girl, but I'll go clubbing with you, whatever. And so I dated him a whole summer. And I'm very Irish, and my programming is prudish. So I'd never slept with him, and I'd never taken a penny off him. The most I would do is he would pay a 50 quid taxi home, and the taxi would only cost 8 quid. So at the end of the summer, he was so annoyed with me that I'd said no over and over again, even when he'd say, he's in the Dorchester having business meetings, and he'd say to me, go down to the shop, book it to my account, spend a couple of thousand. And I would be like, no, I don't do that. So at the end of the summer, he's like, right, you are going to go on a spending spree. So he said to me, you're meeting me. He said, I'm going back to Kuwait. I've done all the research. I found his company. Him and his brother are billionaires. And we never had sex, right? But he said to me, before I go back to Kuwait, I'm taking you on a spending spree and I'm not taking no for an answer. You meet me at Selfridges at 12 noon. Well, that morning, while I was living in 53 Croydon Grove, West Croydon, with a school friend, you know, brother, and a school friend, Gail Mason, whose brother, I can't remember what his name was, but they were all involved with Gillingham and, you know, the forest and all that. Anyway, so at 10 o'clock that morning, I get a telegram from my mother, because back in the 70s, there was no email or, you know, mobile phones. And my mother says, I've left Daddy, I'm desolate, meet me at Paddington at 12 noon. And I didn't know what In Their Cups was. Oh, the strimmer's going to start up again. I didn't know what In Their Cups was, so I dumped the billionaire and met my mother. And there goes the strimmer again. So to be continued, the next part is how I stopped my father from joining the Freemasons. God bless people.